Hey everybody, happy Labor Day. This is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad. Panwich thought I'd do an update again on Irma. I'm going to try to do these at least once a day early on in the process. As we get closer to the end of the week, we'll start maybe doing two of these a day to give you kind of more frequent updates. But now we're getting Hurricane Hunter aircraft flying into the system, and we're starting to get some better data on the storm. It's still a powerful Category 3 hurricane, and this is the latest satellite loop. You could see it's still got a little bit south of west movement, though it's starting to flatten out a little bit, and it's probably going to move more west later today, but winds are still very powerful within this hurricane. This was the 11 o'clock advisory. Winds are 120 miles per hour. The gusts are up to 150, and it is moving west-southwest, but it's just barely a little bit south of west. That's why it's west-southwest instead of just southwest. There are hurricane watches up for the northern Windward Islands. Eventually, probably Puerto Rico is going to be included in this, part of the Dominican Republic and Haiti at some point, and maybe the southern Bahamas very soon as the system moves to the west. The one thing you notice in the latest track is that there's been a pretty significant shift down to the southwest and more of a threat to the Big Islands in the Caribbean and southern Florida, but it's still kind of early that far out. I definitely think the Bahamas are the area we're going to be most concerned about as it moves to the west. I'm going to show you the latest guidance from the spaghetti plots. We call them spaghetti plots because they look like spaghetti. I just put them out to 5 days to kind of give you an idea that they are really starting to come in line. Remember how spread out they were just yesterday? These are really clustered together, and these are moving pretty much all along the same path. Now, a couple things are going to happen here because of this more southern track, and I'll explain why this is happening. A couple things come into play. Obviously, more of the Caribbean is going to be threatened by this, but also the Big Islands have huge mountains, which are going to be playing a big part in the inflow. So it's still kind of interesting long term to see how this is going to impact intensity. It's still probably going to be a Cat 3 or Cat 4, but you might see some minor weakening in the long range if it stays close to those Big Islands or moves away. As I take a look at the water vapor loop, you can kind of see what's going on here. The storm is off to the bottom, just above my head here. The ridge to the north is really, really strong. It's forcing it southwest, but as it gets further west, it's going to start flattening out and curving. Now, why is this southern track starting to take over a little bit? Well, if you look at the guidance, and again, we'll go out from into Tuesday, you can see that big trough digging down. There it is. Trough of low pressure. This is now forecast to lift out pretty quickly and leave the storm behind down here. So this is going to have less of an influence on Irma. You see it digging down. This is on Thursday, and this is going to drive a powerhouse cold front and cool air into the eastern U.S. But then the trough lifts out pretty quickly, and all of the models are hinting at this trough digging in and then pulling up to the northeast. And you can see here, you can barely see the hurricane down at the bottom of your screen. It's right there, but the trough is moving. It misses it. It kind of leaves it behind. Now, one of the things that is going to happen today at 18Z, we call it, which is 2 o'clock Eastern time, most of the central part of the country is going to launch a special weather balloon, and we're also going to send out a special upper air plane that's going to take sampling over the eastern part of the United States and the Western Caribbean. We're hoping to sample this trough a little bit better in the data so that we'll have a better idea on eventually where this system's going to go. But you're seeing a pretty clear trend, at least long range, that a threat to the Caribbean is going to be our biggest issue. Now, just because you see this southern track, do not let your guard down further north up in here, because there's still a chance that this could get stuck down here and it could linger, and eventually maybe do one of these, or it could come up and do one of these. So those are still possibilities. And just to show you the long range tracks, you can see if I throw those on, there's still a chance that this could move up into the southeast or maybe somewhere on the east coast. So just because you see these tracks, just like earlier when everybody was freaking out because it looked like it was going to come up here in some of the models, don't let your guard down yet. I would keep my guard from Florida all the way up to Massachusetts right now, because these storms recurving at some point, it could clip here. It's just a matter of the interaction down here. The thing I want to see is how much interaction with these big islands down here, and how much does Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Haiti end up interfering with the flow. But right now, if you live in these areas, Antigua, all the way down to Montserrat, Guadalupe, Dominica, even maybe Martinique. But Martinique, you look like you're far enough south. And the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, I definitely would start having your plan in place, because the worst winds are on the right side. And the one thing I noticed today in the recon data is we're seeing those concentric eye walls show up. If you look carefully, you could see two peaks in the winds near the center of the storm. So this is a very tightly wound, small circulation right now. But as we get down the road, the forecast is that this storm will widen out a little bit, and we might see the winds spread out. So I love this graphic for this reason. This is a good timing of when the tropical storm force winds will move into certain areas. So you could see the northern islands here between Tuesday and Wednesday is our big threat, and then moving towards Dominican Republic around Thursday, Wednesday to Thursday, and then Cuba, and then possibly the earliest arrival in southeast Florida and the Keys with tropical storm force winds would be sometime on Friday morning. So we'll keep an eye on it. We still got a long ways to go. Don't let your guard down, even if you see this threat look like it's shifting south, because remember, this forecast only goes out 5 days. There's a chance after day 5 that we might see some kind of recurvature, and you could still see a pretty big spread here in the guidance. That's a pretty big spread, though the cluster is right there. This recurvature, it's hard to tell where that's going to occur right now. So don't let your guard down with the storm yet. Still potential impacts in the southeast or east, but we still got plenty of time. You're talking next week sometime, Monday, Tuesday, those impacts here in the southeast. So I'll keep updates on my page going throughout the day. The next track update will not be until 5 p.m. today. So the hurricane hunters will be out there today. I'm actually watching them fly out right now. Let me show you the hurricane hunters real quickly. I'll throw those up there so you can see the recon mission. We'll go Irma 3. So you could actually see the hurricane hunters right there. It just took off from St. Croix and is heading out to the storm right now. So we'll see when that gets out there. When we had another big area of data, and then later today we're going to see an upper air mission to see how strong this ridge is. Because the longer this ridge holds on, the further south and west this storm goes, and the less chance that these troughs digging down are going to pick up the storm. So that's the latest, at least of right now. Still, we're in a kind of a wait-and-see mode. We've got a long ways to go, but if you're in the southeast, especially Florida, the Bahamas, Cuba, Puerto Rico, you need to start having your hurricane plan and get your precautions going, because the time frame, again, is right there of the track, and there's the arrival of the wind. So I'll have another update maybe tonight if something dramatic comes from the upper air and the recon flights, but really I'll probably wait until we get to tomorrow as we get another round of data in. So we'll keep an eye on it. That's the latest on Irma. Wait and see. Keep your fingers crossed, and we'll keep an eye on it. Start thinking about those preparations down in Florida.